आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So, we are looking at the Darshtanta, that which is exemplified by this very apt metaphor of the bird, which is fluttering helplessly, going from one direction to the other and yet going nowhere. Why? Because the poor thing's legs are tied with a string, the other end of which is in the hands of the bird catcher. And so finally what does it do? It comes to a place of rest, stops struggling, comes to a place of rest. Similarly, the jiva, and who is this jiva? The one who is equipped with the mind, the ahankara, mind. What else is there? Manaha adi. Manaha adi, adipadat. Because of that adi, we have to look for all other things such as ahankara, manas, buddhi and chittam. The fourfold faculty together called as known as the mind. So the mind includes what we call mind, and in Sanskrit mind means the faculty that always is indecisive. Should I do this? No. I think I should not do this. No, I think I should do this. This is what is called manas. And then we have what is called buddhi. And what is the buddhi? The buddhi is what is known as the decisive faculty. That is the buddhi, decisive faculty, buddhi, and the one that is going back and forth. What is that? Manas. Then we have what is called chittam. Not to be confused with chit as in Satchidananda. That's an entirely different thing. That is consciousness. But here it is chittam, which is the faculty of, the emotive faculty. Chittam. And then the one that owns up all these three is called ahankara, the I notion. Ego, for lack of a better word, but I notion I think is better than ego. Okay, because ego is always overused. So we don't, what is that? We don't really. Sometimes it is more distracting than it is illuminating. And so, therefore, the person equipped with a mind, etc., that is the one that is in search of a place of rest. Why does this person who is equipped with a mind, etc., need a place of rest? Because look at what all they are doing whole day. Whole day they are trying to reap some punya and get something, get some sukha, but then that turns into a lot of effort for nothing. So much effort nothing is received in return. And then this frustrated jiva, the sad jiva, what does it do? It is a moksharthi. It wants freedom but doesn't know what this freedom looks like. It doesn't know. It doesn't know that freedom doesn't come from going from place to place, from direction to direction, utterly directionless. It doesn't know. So, like the bird whose feet are tied, this jiva also roams first here, first there, goes after this object, that object, and then gets, and then reaps various papas, punyas in the form of sukha, dukkha, and in the dream state, and in the sleep state, in the waking state, and then having, spent days on end, lifetimes on end, then what? Then the person, becomes one with Sat. This is what is called sleep, a place of repose. So, continuing with the Bhashya, we left it as this, the manchakrosanavat. Manchakroshanam means, you anthropomorphize inanimate objects. This is a particular kind of a figure of speech. Like you say, like supposing there is a sports match, you say, oh, the Southern Gallery is cheering. Gallery is not cheering. People in the gallery are cheering. And then one more example, in Mumbai, in Bombay, during the monsoons, because it's very, very wet over there. It's a coastal city, very, very wet. Monsoons. During the monsoons, what do you say? The umbrellas are coming. Umbrellas don't come. Umbrellas don't go. Who are coming? The people with umbrellas are coming. So this kind of a anthropomorphization in this figure of speech is very much there. And so here it's not the mind that is indicated, but the jiva with this kind of a mind, nirdishyate. Up till now we have seen, and let us further go with the bhashya. Saha mana akhya upadhihi jivah
मन आख्य उपाधिः जीवः
avidya kama
अविद्या काम
कर्म
कर्म
उपदिष्टाम्
उपदिष्टाम्
दिशं
दिशं
सुखदुःखादिलक्षणाम्
सुखदुःखादिलक्षणाम्
जाग्रत्स्वप्नयोः
जाग्रत्स्वप्नयोः
पतित्वा गत्वा अनुभूय इत्यर्थः अन्यत्र सदाख्यात् स्वात्मनः आयतनं विश्रमणस्थानम् अलब्ध्वा प्राणमेव प्राणेन सर्वकार्यकरण आश्रयेण उपलक्षिता प्राणः इति उच्यते सदाख्या परा देवता. Yeah, so this mana akhya upadhihi jivaha saha. So the jiva who has the upadhi means the status, the epithet, and also the container called the mind. So mana akhya upadhihi yasya saha. So that is the person. So mana akhya upadhihi means the one who has the mind for the upadhi. That jiva, what does this jiva do? Experiencing some samsarika sukha dukkha. Why? Due to the covering of avidya, and as we have seen, avidya morphs into kama. because one doesn't know the truth of oneself. What happens then? One mistakes oneself to be something other than what one is, and sees oneself as sad, bad, etc. And so then there is a frenetic activity to get rid of that notion of incompleteness centered on the self. So first there is a desire to be whole, and then there is that desire to get rid of that in a sense of alienation, incompleteness, loneliness, etc. And so therefore, so avidya turns into kama, and kama doesn't let you sit quietly. The desire to be free, the desire to be acceptable, the desire to be validated, the desire to be loved, all these things, they powerfully act on the mind and on the person. And then what happens? The person wants to then do karma to actualize those desires. So because those desires are not going to get they're not going to fulfill themselves, you have to do something. You can't just sit quietly, and so they exert a pressure. So avidya kama karma upadishtam. So this jiva, has a teacher. Well, he's got the jiva has a guru parampara in the form of avidya, kama and karma. That's all the jiva knows. So until the guru comes, the avidya, kama, karma shrinkhala, that is the teaching parampara that every jiva follows. It's so hilarious, because every jiva follows this alone. And what does the jiva do? Engages in frenetic activity. Avidya gives the command, desire this. Oh, okay. And desire gives the command. Don't just sit there, do something. And then karma says, oh, you want punya, do some good things so that you can get some punya. And this life is gone. It's a big zero. They have this zero with a line crossed through it. Yeah, this life is a big zero. At least in the afterlife, you can have a bungalow, and then so you can have do some good karma. So like this, the desire, kama and avidya gang up together to be the jiva's guru until Vedanta comes. Okay, and then so then what happens? So then the jiva, disham disham, goes from place to place. Maybe I will go to America. Why? Why would you want to go to America? No, there are more opportunities. What will I do sitting in India? Maybe I should go to America. And maybe I should become successful. Maybe I should have more money. And then, of course, people tell themselves some altruistic things in order to go. They say, oh, I want to help my family. Did the family ask for your help? No, but I want to help them. Nobody helps. Okay, but that's just a story, a narrative people tell themselves. So like this, there's all kinds of desires which only human being have. Nobody else has. The cow doesn't have a desire. I think I should. The Indian cow doesn't say I am I'm better off than those Jersey cows. I think I should go and show them what a real cow looks like, and I should brag about my life. All of you end up between sandwiches, and I am free. No, not many people eat me in India. I should brag about all this. No cow stands in line in the American embassy and says, I want to go abroad. I mean, if the cow is standing in line, it's because all the people standing in line are, littering food, etc. It is just there to clean it up. That's all. It's not wanting to go anywhere. And so, like this, so disham, disham, in every direction. In every direction. And I met somebody, this was a while back. And then so I said, where did you come from? Antarctica. I never even met anybody who has gone there. Why did you go there? Oh, that's a long story. I just wanted to see what these icy regions will be like. And then, and then how did it work out for you? I lost one of the toes due to the cold, frostbite or something, chilblains, something like that. So, like this, disham, disham. And each disha is characterized by what? Sukha and dukkha. This is just a poetic way of saying it, Sukha and Dukha. If Sukha came and then Dukha came and then again Sukha came, nobody would be complaining. Because if I am in the Dukha phase, then I know next kya aega, Sukha will come. I know that. But that's not how life is. Life is just completely, it is the Sukha once in a while makes an appearance, that's all. Once in a while, once in a great while. And Pujya Swamiji used to illustrate this very nicely. Aham dukhi sukhi, little bit sukhi here, and then again dukhi, full of dukkha, and a little bit sudden sukha. This is the predicament. But poetically, the Bhashya, Upanishad, etc. will say Sukha Dukkhati Lakshanam, Gatva, Patitva. It's just a kind of a euphemism, you can say. It's a kind of a euphemism. So, Sukha Dukkhati Lakshanam, this is what it is. So, now, it's not like Sukha and Dukkha alternate. Alternating cycles of agony and ecstasy. That's not how it is. It's nice to write poetry like this, but that is not what we are talking about. Usually, the life is perceived as a struggle, mediated here and there by a little bit cheesecake there and some coffee there and something, you just make yourself feel good. That's all. And so, Sukha Dukkhadi Lakshanam, Disham Disham, and then, what is this Sukha Dukkha experience? Sukha Dukkha experience, here, where is it experienced? Jagrat Swapnayoho, in the dreaming and waking states. Even in the dream state, there is dukkha. Nashtarajya. One dreams that one is a king and somebody has come and taken away the kingdom. In the waking state, the person doesn't have, even a bowl to beg with. Okay, that is the person's condition. But in the dream, the person is a Raja, and then the person's kingdom has been taken away by some usurpers, causing dukkha. And then suddenly in the dream, you dream of a birthday party and you have been invited and you go there. And so this is again what? This is a sukha. So both in the waking state and the dream state, peppered by various experiences of sukha, dukkha, and then what? Patitva. Patitva means fallen, falling. So having fallen. But here, patitva means, why does the Shruti uses the word patitva? Because when you fall, you don't have any sense of control. That's why it's called a fall. Including falling in love. That's also the same problem. There is no control. There is some kind of an adhyasa, and then that is what it is when an object attracts you or a person attracts. It's because of this alone. So there is this falling. So that's why the Upanishad uses the word, the mantra uses the word patitva. Disham disham patitva. After experiencing various, alternating all kinds of various cycles, sorrow, a little bit of joy, and then mediated by a lot of sorrow, and then Adi Shankara, changes it to gatva, having gone, and then anubhuya, actually having experienced. So then what? Then anubhuya. Then very important point. Sadakhyat anyatra, other than this atma. Other than this atma, which is called sat. Other than the sadatma, other than the sadvastu, which is the oneself. Swatmanaha anyatra. Anyatra. There is, that, what is that? Vishramanasthanam ayatanam. Ayatanam means destination. There is no destination. One is always on the move. Where in the waking state, one is on the move. In the dream state, one is as though on the move. In both the states, one is moving, 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 moving. Happy, so sad, anxious. And why? Because due to the upadhi of avidya, kama and karma, and then the distorted understanding of the self, leading one to seek something or the other in one direction or the other, and then uh, and then uh, uh, and then undergo various cycles of action, result, action, result, action, result, and then gets tired. Why? Because the person is repeatedly falling into cycles of sorrow, elation in the waking and dream states. That's why the person, whenever you ask anybody, how are you? I'm just sick and tired of this life. I am tired. And then what? I'm tired of being tired. And then, so, Atmanaha Anyatra, other than the truth of oneself, other than this Atma which is Sat, Sadakhya, Devata, other than this Devata which is Sat, there is no place of refuge. Because wherever you go, you carry the complaining you. This is not okay, that is not okay, this is a problem, that is a problem. Nothing can be enjoyed. Nothing can be enjoyed, especially if there is a mamata bhava involved. Mamata bhava means myness, I-ness. If there is a myness or an I-ness involved, then everything goes south. Why? Because, it's like this. The person rented a house from his friend. The friend went away abroad somewhere in the Middle East, Dubai or somewhere. And then, the friend, he gave him the house cheaply, and the friend, along with his wife and children, moved in. And the friend was so happy. Every day he thanked the Lord, in this very big, crowded city, where I could have found such a nice house, wonderful house, not too big to clean and to maintain, and not too small to get all constricted. It's just a wonderful place. How lucky I am to have this wonderful friend. How great is this? This continued for about 2.5, 3 years. Then the friend, one day he received a letter, courier, and then what happened? He opened the letter, and in that, he opened the envelope, and in that was a letter from his friend. I have made more money than I can ever imagine, and you always keep telling me when we talk on the phone how much you enjoy the house. So along with the letter is the deed of the house, already transferred in your name. This is yours now. Have it. And the man is he is laughing and crying at the same time. OMG, how did this happen? This is so wonderful. What did I do to deserve this? How long did that last? I mean, till he called the wife and children to the room, and everybody hugged each other and jumped up and down, and lasted about 10 minutes. After that, he looked around, saw a crack in the wall. Oh no, I hope the foundation. What about the foundation? Maybe there is rot in the foundation. What about termites? Maybe something is wrong. And the wife also agreed. They were made for each other. The wife also agreed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why will anybody give such an expensive house for free? Real estate. Do you know the price of this house? And so you better get it appraised. Something must be deeply wrong with the foundation, with everything. That is why this has been given for free. That's why there is an expression, do not look at the gift horse in the mouth. So anything that expression comes from, the age of the horse is seen through their teeth. From how yellow the teeth are, then that much the age of the horse. So don't look at the gift horse in the mouth to find out, they have given, the kind of cows that were given in the Kathopanishad. Nirindriyaha dugdhadohaha, and so like this, Jagdhatrinaha, the cows that had eaten every blade of grass allotted to them by karma, by Bhagavan. The cows that had, Pitodakaha, that had drunk all the water allotted to them by Bhagavan. And the cows that had, Nirindriyaha, means they could neither see nor smell, nor were they capable of reproducing. So like this horse they have given, don't say that. That is why that thing is there. So here, as soon as that mamata bhava, this is mine, comes, then immediately the fault finding starts. Not even 5 minutes after this mamata bhava is established. So therefore what? So therefore this is that wrong identification. And then that immediately leads to anxiety and sorrow. That is where this mamata bhava results in. And then so, after repeatedly falling into such cycles, this is mine, this is not yet mine, I have to make this mine, and then I am sad, I am anxious, oh I got this but then it was taken away, oh I got this but it is not enough, and then that's why the person is tired of life. And Adi Shankara points out in the Bhashya, Sadatmanaha Anyatra, then there is other than the Sadatma, and there is no place of refuge, because wherever you go, you carry the complaining mind. So, even if you go to Devaloka, you go to celestial place, and you go to Indra Loka, Swarga, and then you are sitting right next to Indra, and you say, I want a selfie, I'm not going without a selfie. Okay, sure, Indra says, there is a queue. Tell that fellow and sign up for the queue, you will get a selfie. Just like sitting, the children in the mall go to sit on Santa Claus lap, like that. Selfie with Indra, everything is there. You had chai with Indra, you had what is that, happy hour with Indra, everything. Selfie with Indra. Still, you look around. Oh, that person is not only having one selfie, they are having 2 selfies, they are having a professional portrait taken. What did they do to gain this? Why not me? So all these complaints come up, and so therefore this, wherever you go, if you carry this ahankara with you, the mind with you, the buddhi, all these appendages that we talked about, if you carry this mana akhya upadhi, if this is, this upadhistha is this jiva, so the jiva endowed with the mind and the ahankara, etc., it's enough. You don't need anybody else to make you sad, to make you agitated, to make you anxious, to make you upset. Nobody else is needed. You are enough. And so there is no place of refuge where to go other than to sleep. And so the importance of sleep is given here very nicely. And so then sadakhyat atmanaha anyatra, so ayatanam vishramanasthanam nasti. What is vishramanasthanam? A place to recharge, place to reflect, a place to just come back to yourself. Like after you have surgery in the hospital, let's say somebody goes for having some kind of a surgery in the hospital, and then after the surgery they don't immediately take you to your room. Where do they put you? They put you in some kind of a monitored, what is that called, recovery room, where you are still coming out of anesthesia, you are groggy and perhaps probably in pain, or not yet, the pain is not yet sensed, but it is still there. Some kind of a convalescing center to recover. And then after this, after they find out that the day of the week and who is the president of your country, after asking all those questions, then they let you go to your room. They wheel you back to your room. So this kind of a recovery room is not there in the Jagat. Nowhere you can sit down even, for a minute. Kathamaham Shanti Meshyami. One wonders, how will I get this Shanti? Where will I go? Where will I go? How to do this? And then, so how will I gain this Shanti? Everybody wants Shanti. Everyone wants that sense of Shanti. Is not just peace. Peace is what? Absence of strife and the presence of a contentment. That contentment is Shanti. And so there is no place on earth for that. And where, even if there were a place, what is that? Now they have this new thing. I saw it in one airport. Um, some kind of a water, and you enter into this tube, and then it is all vacuum water. Some, I don't know what it is called. I'm probably just murdering the concept, because I don't know exactly what it is, but you lie suspended in this water, and then after that it is some kind of a no gravity situation, and then you're floating in this water, and then they take you out after an hour or so. But then some people cannot even go in for 5 minutes, I read somewhere. And so why can't they go? Because they're too agitated, all kinds of thoughts and difficult situations and all come up, and so they have to immediately be brought out. And so that is, I don't know what it is called. If somebody knows, you can tell me. So then so there is no even that place, which is some kind of a vacuum type of a situation, sealed situation, can be very scary, because you have the jiva has itself to thank for this. And then what else? So there is no such place in the on earth. No such place. Even the dream state is fraught with frightening experiences. And so alabdva, not gaining any of this, alabdva, then the person returns to pranameva. And what is this prana? The prana is devata, paradevata. That paradevata is prana here, pranena upalakshita. That is that devata which is indicated by this prana, pranena. So therefore, what is that? That becomes the place of refuge for all. Sarvakarya karana ashrayena upalakshita saddevata. So for all karya karana sanghatas, for all bodies, minds and senses, for all these body, mind, sense complex, this is what is indicated. So sleep is a natural refuge, where you go to just be with yourself, not the complaining self, not the self that is dissatisfied and discontented, but the self of the Upanishad, which is the Devata called Sat. Limitless, Ekam, Advitiyam, Sat. One Sat, and which is Advitiya. Advitiya means what? Without a second. That Sat which was talked about, which like the clay is the cause of everything, which is the Devata, which is Bhagavan, that itself is the place of Shanti. And so this is so sarva karya karana ashrayena upalakshita. And then further, and then so pranaha iti uchyate sadakhya paradevata. He gives a couple of quotations. Pranasya pranam, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and then prana shariro bharupah, Chandogya Upanishad, earlier in the Upasana section of the Chandogya Upanishad. Ityadi Shrutehe. So what are those quotations? The first one, Pranasya Pranam, just like what we have been talking about, Sa Uppranasya Pranaha, just like the quote in the Kenopanishad. So Pranasya Pranaha, and so then Prana Shariro Bharupah. Elsewhere it is called prana shariraha, which is pranaha eva shariram yasya. Prana shariraha. The prana is the body of which? That is the Atma. And then what is its nature? Bharupah, Prakashatmikam. Prakashatmika, and this, Sarvan Bhasayati, Swayam Bhati, all this, that which shines by itself, self-effulgent, and then, it brings everything to light. That is the second quotation. So then what happens? Then let's see further. Bandhanah. Yeah. So further, Bhashya. Ataha
अतः
tam devatam
तां देवतां
pranam
प्राणं
pranakhyameva
प्राणाख्यामेव
upashrayate
उपश्रयते
pranah
प्राणः
bandhanam yasya manasah
बन्धनं यस्य मनसः
tat pranabandhanam hi
तत् प्राणबन्धनं हि
yasmat somya
यस्मात् सौम्य
manah
मनः
prana upalakshita
प्राण उपलक्षित
devatashrayam manah
देवताश्रयं मनः
iti
इति
tad upalakshitah jivah
तद् उपलक्षितः जीवः
iti.
इति.
Yeah, he is summing it up. He concludes very beautifully. And so, atah tam devatam pranakhyam upashrayate. So then the only place of refuge is this devata which goes by the name of prana. So now, no longer bird. Who is this bird? The Jiva bird. The Jiva bird, having tried for a lot of avenues of rest, in vain, uselessly, returns to prana. Prana bandhanam hi manaha. The Jiva is characterized by the word manaha, and which in turn returns to the refuge of prana, which is para devata, for which mind the prana is the place of rest. That is called prana bandhanam. Prana bandhanam yasya manasah saha. So for which mind the prana is the place of refuge. So then what happens? That alone, that place, that sthanam alone is the place of rest. Why? Because it is paradevata. That mind is now with itself, because the source of the mind, as we are seeing now, is this paradevata, and is this devata alone, Sat, this devata called Sat, which is the cause of everything, which is the cause of the mind also, and so it is a natural resting place. So this is what is indicated here. So that prana, which is really the place of the source of the mind, and that mind which is identified with which the jiva is identified, is the one that goes for this place of rest. Evam swapiti nama prasiddhadvarena yat jivasya satyaswarupam jagatah moolam tat putrasya darshayitva aha annadikarya karanparamparaya api jagatah moolam saddidarshayishuhu. Yeah. So now the conclusion of this particular mantra of the bird, the analogy of the bird, evam means in this manner, the swarupa of the jiva is being shown how by the famous word, famous for the Pandits and then famous for all the people also who are tired and who recognize sleep as the ultimate recharger. So by the famous word Swapiti. So he is showing his son by showing the origin of the word Swapiti, which is the source of the entire universe. The sleep state is the source of the entire universe. He is showing his son the source of the Jagat, and being desirous of showing this, he wants to now talk about this Sat from the standpoint of Tejaha, and then Annam, Apaha, Tejaha, Annam, etc., to follow the same order that we saw in the Trivrit Karanam portion. First was Tejas, and what was the source of Tejas? Fire. What was the source of fire? It was Sat. So then what was the source? Then from Tejas we have Apaha, water. From water we have earth. So in this manner, the three Murta. Murta means the bhutas, 5 elements which have form, were discussed. So now he is desirous of showing, the father is desirous of showing the Mula of this Tejaha, Apaha, Prithvi is also Sat. Just like the source of the Jiva is Sat, the source of the 5 elements is also Sat. So very interesting, this is like going back, like very interesting. Look at this, like the bird which went back to the source of its bondage, so to speak, we are also going back as we speak, because first we saw Sat, and then that Sat, became what? Threefold. Became, Imaha Tisro Devata, Devataha. We kept on repeating this term. Imaha Tisro Devataha. We kept on repeating this. So that Sat as though became or was manifest or took the form of these three: fire, water, earth. Okay. So now we are going on the backward journey. Beautiful. So that if anybody was slightly asleep, bored, or skipped a class during that time, or was in the class but the mind went back to Sat, which is a polite way of saying fell asleep. Okay, so as we are discussing, and so if that happened, now this is another chance, because now we are doing the reverse step. So first we saw one Sat, Ekameva Dvitiyam, this one Sat alone is there, and this one Sat now is in the form of three, and this one Sat is Devata, and so now we have three Devatas which are all Sat, and from these three Devatas we have, we have the body, we have the mind, and we have the senses. And who can forget Annamayam hi Somya Manaha, Annamayam hi Manaha. The mind is connected to the food. In fact, the mind is the vikara of food. It's nourished by food. Upachitam, we saw all this. And then we saw the famous, practical Vedanta lesson, where Shvetaketu was told, what was he told? Do not eat for 15 days. And then we saw he was not able to repeat anything. And then he also agreed. What did he say? Yes, Annamayam hi Manaha. And the father said, are you sure you understood? Yes, I understood. Quickly, he said, because otherwise 15 more days, no food. That's what he was worried about. And so we saw all this. And then the prana is connected to water. We saw this. That's why he was told to drink a lot of water. And tejo mayi vak, the speech is connected to vak. And that's why people who eat ghee, etc., what happens to them? They become great orators. They become great chanters. We saw all this. So then, from the Sat to the elements, and then from the elements to the jiva. Correct? That was the journey. The body of the jiva, the mind of the jiva, the senses of the jiva, all nourished by all these devatas. And then what? Now what we are doing, we are taking the reverse journey, and this is what Uddalaka is desirous of showing Shvetaketu, the reverse journey. Otherwise, we'll have the Abhimanyu syndrome. What is the Abhimanyu syndrome? Abhimanyu, when he was a baby in the mother's womb, then he heard of some. He was, of course, a Kshatriya, royal Kshatriya baby. And even before it was born, it was thinking about war. And then, as a baby in the womb, he heard about a particular formation. Chakra Vyuha. Vyuha means battle formations. So you have turtle formation, you have all these formations. This one, Chakra Vyuha, he heard about that. But then, being a small baby, he fell asleep in the middle of it. So he only learnt how to go in, but not come out. And that, they say, was his nemesis in the Kurukshetra battlefield, because, and also certain things, he was playing with fire, because he was in the hands of Duryodhana, etc., who changed the rules and changed the formations actually, and trapped him. And that's what led to his death, and he was surrounded and then killed. And so it's not enough, so this is what I'm calling the Abhimanyu syndrome, because it's not enough to know how to go one way. Then you have to know how to come back. Because the vivaksha, the commitment of the Shruti is not to just show how everything has come from Sat. That is not the vivaksha of the Shruti at all. The Shruti is not interested in taking one to the place of saying, Dekho, everybody see, everybody look. What should I look at? What am I looking at? All this has come from Sat. That also has come from Sat. Your nose is from Sat. Your little finger is from Sat. And your big toe is also from Sat. Who cares? The point is to know how to make the reverse journey back, because the Shruti is interested in showing you as Sat. So you means this the complaining jiva is really Sat. That is what it is interested in showing. It's not interested in showing anything else. It's not, because if supposing we were to ask the question, why is the Shruti not interested in leaving it, like saying all this has come from Sat? Because then I will have to ask you a question. If you ask that question, I will have to say, what will I have to say? I will have to say that, then why should the Shruti be interested in showing everything? Why? Because the Shruti is interested in Dvaita or Advaita? You tell me. Advaita. So it wants to do Advaita Pratishtha. It wants to, understand how to show that there is nothing other than Sat. So one way you come and you show everything has, as it were, come from Sat, sustained by Sat, and now what? It is all going back to Sat. And of course, even in the discussion it goes back to Sat. We saw that. But now we are taking the reverse journey. You're taking small things. Like, very interesting section is going to come up now. You're taking small things, like the desire to eat, the desire to drink. You take that. Why? Because everybody experiences it. At heart, everyone is a foodie. Yeah. It's a Sanskrit word. It must be foodin. And then the first case is foodie. That's what I think. So everyone is a foodie. Okay. Foodin means what? The one who is into food. That's what. So everybody is at heart a foodie. And so if you give the food example, everybody's, okay, I'm there. It applies to me. I like to eat. I like to drink. I like to do this. So it's going to give, the origin of the word, the desire to eat. Ashanaya. How did this word Ashanaya come from? Pipasa. How did this word pipasa? Pipasa means the desire to drink. Patum ichha. Ashitum ichha. The desire to eat, the desire to drink. How did these words come from? And where did they come from? And then through the, and the words are a little hook. Why? Because if the game was told right in the front, up front, now we are going to go back to Sat. What will you do? Instead of saying so hum, you will say ho hum. Because yeah, I have been there. One way I have come, it's enough. I know how to go back. I know. I don't want to be taught one by one. I don't want to be taught how to go back to Sat. I know. But then that knowledge will be fraught with vagueness, with error, and then with mistakes, error, vagueness. All this is there. And so all that has to be dismissed. This is what is this is this is the maxim of shaking the pole. Shaking the pole maxim. Sthanu nikandana nyaya. And why? See, when we have a marriage or something, in the you have to construct a kind of an awning under which the bride and groom sit and get married. So that awning is made of leaves and all this, and then woven leaves, etc. And so that awning is supported by 4 poles. So you call the people who are experts in doing this, and then they can, they climb a tree right in front of you. What tree? Coconut tree. And harvest one or two big leaves and then intertwine them and then put this up. And then sometimes you can get really fancy. You can put fruits, flowers, everything, bananas, all these things hanging. It looks beautiful, colorful. And then this is for the marriage or any auspicious ceremony is done under this. No, you don't want it to crash in the middle of the ceremony. That will be very inauspicious, to say the least. Okay, and then so after it is all put up, the poles are first buried in the earth, and then they are tamped down, and then after that, you want to make sure it will hold the weight of all these fruits, flowers, and all these things, and that leafy awning. And then so what do they do? After everything is set up, before the function starts, the people will shake. The whole family will come out. Oh, come on, let us test this. Is it going to stay up or is it going to fall? So not just the whole family. Family means, in the West you think of 3 people. Okay, that's not family. Family means, the whole village comes out. Every extended family, extendable family, anybody who slips in, wishing to attend the wedding, but they don't know either the bride or the groom, and when confronted by somebody who doesn't recognize, they say, oh, do you belong to the bride side? And then if they are from the bride side, he says, no, I'm from the groom side. And then same thing, when they are confronted with somebody from the groom side, they say, I'm from the bride side. So even those people come out and help you shake the pole. The pole should be unshakable. If the poles shake, that means a little more buried, it needs to be buried more deeply, and it needs to be tamped down. Because in the olden times, we never used concrete and all that. It was just earth, and so it needs to be tamped down. We have to get some kind of a, that kind of a clay type earth, which will hold it together. So similarly, this part of the teaching is going to make the knowledge sit in the heart with a certain, with a certainty that wasn't there before. So this is, shaking and making sure that it all is there, the whole thing, but it is not given as a repetition. Why? It will not be so hum anymore, it will be ho hum, and the person will fall asleep. So it is put on a platter of, what should I say, word splitting, word analysis, linguistic analysis, so that everybody is interested. And the linguistic analysis about, not about some, what's that kind of a, some kind of an obscure word that is only used in spelling bees, and then after that you just forget about it. That's not the kind of word. It's an everyday word. Eating, drinking, wanting to eat, wanting to drink. Everybody knows these words. And since those words, they are not just everyday words, but these words are pertinent to one's very life. These words are indeed extremely desired by all and applicable to all. And so these are the words that, through this word play and through this word origin, like a mother, the Shruti is going to feed you the, the map, the treasure map of making your way back to Sat. Like a mother feeding the child. And here, we are talking of Indian mothers, because in the Western feeding, what happens? They tie up the child in the chair, called high chair. Okay? And then the mother feeds. Mother has an easier time there. But then, in the Indian system, at least until recently, now here also all these high chairs and, high lifestyle, etc. has come. But then previously, what would happen? The child was allowed to run around in the yard. And then small child, toddler, 1 year, 2 years, something like this. And then if you try to make it sit and eat, it will say no, it will not even open its mouth, it will not cooperate. So what needs to happen? Take it outside. And also less cleanup, because there will be no spillage. It will be bhuta yajna, all the crows will come later and birds will feast on whatever leftovers are there. So then, the mother will say, do you see that? Is that a dog? Who does it belong to? Does it belong to the child next door? Oh, and then one bite of the food is gone. Is that a birdie? Look at what it is saying. Is it calling out to you? Really? No, it's not calling out to you. Another bite is gone. And then pretty soon, the whole lunch is finished, without any tantrums, without any boredom, without any non-cooperation. That's why Adi Shankara elsewhere calls the Shruti, he says the Shruti has the power of 1,000 functional and loving mothers. Because this is Kali Yuga, we have to add functional and loving. We have to add in these times. Okay. So it has the power of the 1,000 mothers. If one mother is so transformational, one loving mother, imagine 1,000 functional mothers, loving mothers. And this is how the inner child of the person, the resistance, the source of resistance, the source of raga dveshas, whatever has not been interrogated, because everybody doesn't come with perfect adhikaritvam. So whatever has not been interrogated, whatever has not been resolved, it makes a big, splash, and it can take you away from the teaching. And may that not happen. So a very nice elaborate section on the origin of words. So let us, even though we know secretly that this is a journey back to Sat, because I have given the plot away, let us not tell that to all the inner children. Let us say, oh, we are going to do some word analysis, some padavichedas. In Sanskrit, we are going to do some Sanskrit word analyses. Then everybody will be awake. What words? Well, the words of, let's say, the first word we are going to analyze is the desire for food. Who is there with me? Me! Everybody raises the hand. Everybody is on board. Very beautiful. Yeah, what is that called? Sensory deprivation tank. Yeah, that's what it is. That flotation tank, which I was talking about earlier, sensory deprivation tank. But then the mind still finds a way. You may be deprived of the sensory, overloads, but the mind still comes there sometimes. Okay. So now, then So this is the interesting portion. I really find this portion very interesting. In the whole bhashya, this is very, very fascinating. Because what does it do? It takes two words, ashanaya and pipasa. Why do you say ashanaya? And because these are all desiderative words. San pratyaya, the desire to. And if you feel like, oh, I haven't encountered these words before, that is not correct. Why? Mumuksha. This is a desiderative word. Jignasa. Jnatumichha, jignasa. It all makes these, feminine nouns. This san pratyaya. So then we have all these desiderative words, the desire to do something. Kartumichha. It is not kikirsha, okay? Chikirsha. Kartumichha, chikirsha. Bodhumichha, the desire to know. Bubhutsa. Not to be confused with bhoktumichha, the desire to eat. Bhubhuksha. Jnatumichha, jignasa. Moktumichha, mumuksha. Like this, all these words are there in the desiderative sense, the desiderative suffix. And so patumichha, the desire to drink, is called pipasa. And then ashitum ichha, ashanaya. And then the Shastra presents it very nicely. The Shastra just says ashana with the ya is elided. Ashanaya, the ya is elided. Very interesting. Vyutpatti is going to be given in this section. Very beautiful. And then what? Of course, there is a secret point behind this. Why? Because the Shastra is going to point out that the food that you eat, so even though ashana or ashanaya is the desire to eat, the word ashanaya in the Shastra is a word to indicate water. What? Water. So ashanaya means water. Why? Because, ashitam nayati. That which is eaten is taken for digestion, etc., with the help of water. Because without water, the food just sticks in the throat. You can't eat it. You need water. For the food to get digested, liquid is needed. And so ashanaya here is the word for water. So very, very interesting. And so this is how the so then the water, so the annam is led by water. The food is led by water. Water is then, annam is earth. So annam, earth, is led by water. Water is led by fire. Fire is led by sat. You see, we've already made our way back through just the analysis of these words. Very, very interesting, very beautiful. And this is kind of a, when you can kind of get lost in it. It's almost mystic in nature. It's like poetry. It's like mysticism. Very, very beautiful. And so this is a, and then so there are all these words, these common words, ashanaya, pipasa, etc. They are going to be analyzed. So let us look at this, the next mantra. Very, very interesting. The next mantra is actually a next section, and I lost the bhashya. Here it is. Okay. So let us look at the next mantra. Ashana pipase.
Ashana pipase.
Me somya.
Me somya.
Vijanihi iti.
Vijanihi iti.
Yatra.
Yatra.
Etat purushah.
Etat purushah.
Ashishishati.
Ashishishati.
Nama.
Nama.
Apaha eva.
Apaha eva.
Tad ashitam.
Tad ashitam.
Nayante.
Nayante.
Tadyatha.
तद्यथा
गोनायः
गोनायः
अश्वनायः
अश्वनायः
पुरुषनायः
पुरुषनायः
इत्येवं
इत्येवं
तद् अपः
तत् अपः
आचक्षते
आचक्षते
अशनाया इति
अशनाय इति
तत्र
तत्र
एतत्
एतत्
शुङ्गम्
शुङ्गम्
उत्पतितगुं सौम्य
उत्पतितगं सौम्य
विजानीहि
विजानीहि
न इदं
न इदम्
अमूलं भविष्यति इति.
अमूलं भविष्यति इति.
Yeah, so we'll go straight to the Bhashya because it is very elaborate and it will explain this. Since I have already given a long introduction, so you know what is coming here, okay? Ashana pipase
अशना पिपासे
ashitum ichha
अशितुम् इच्छा
ashana
अशना
ya lopena.
या लोपेन.
Yeah, so Adi Shankara here in the Bhashya is explaining this mantra very well, very beautifully. So Ashana Pipase, those are the first, that's the first word there, and those are the two words that are combined here. So those two words are going to be analyzed. So here Ashana Pipase taken together. So Ashana cha Pipasa cha. So then these two he comments on Ashitum Ichha Ashana. Ashitum Ichha Ashana. The desire to eat is Ashana. Actually it should be Ashanaya. And then so he explains that also. How is it Ashana? Ya lopena. And what happened to the ya? It was swallowed up. It was eaten up. Why? Because after all we are talking of the desire to eat. So the first thing to perish was the was the semi vowel ya. The ya was eaten up. Why was the ya eaten up? Because this is see, we think that the Veda should subscribe to Sanskrit rules of grammar, but the language of the Veda is Sanskrit. The Veda has brought forth Sanskrit, so it can do whatever it wants, okay? It can on the spot make a rule. Henceforward, for this mantra, for this Upanishad, it will only be Ashana. What happened to the ya? Ya, go away. That's what it is. It doesn't need to give an explanation. It is its own language, and it can have a good time with that language. And so, ya lopa. Ya lopa is there, and then that is how it has become Ashana. And then likewise, patumichha, pipasa. Patumichha, the desire to drink, is what? Pipasa. Te
ते
Ashana pipase.
अशना पिपासे
Ashana pipasayoho
अशना पिपासयोः
satatvam
ततत्त्वं
vijanihi iti etat.
विजानीहि इति एतत्.
Yeah, so patum ichha likewise is pipasa, the desire to drink is called pipasa. You see, this is like a Agatha Christie novel. That's why I gave that introduction, otherwise we won't know where it is going. Who done it? Why are we talking about this? I mean, just now we were talking about sleep, and then that was, again a universal and a pleasant experience, and then from there we went to Sat. And then now we are going to broaden this, going back to Sat. All this, we don't see right at the beginning, because that element of Ashcharya is there. The surprise is built into the Upanishad. And then, te ashana pipase. So this is just, grammatically he's talking about how this dvandva compound is made. Then, ashana pipasayoho satatvam vijanihi iti etat ityarthah. What is the meaning here? Ashana pipase me vijanihi. That was the vakya. So ashana pipase is converted into ashana pipasayoho. Of this ashana and pipasa, please know the satatvam. We have encountered this word earlier. Tatvena saha vartate iti satatvam. Know the tattva, the essence. Know the truth of this hunger, the desire to eat, and thirst, the desire to drink. Know the truth from me. And then yatra
Yatra
yasmin kale
Yasmin Kale
etat nama
Etat Nama
purusho bhavati
Puruso Bhavati
kintat
Kim Tat
ashishishati
Ashishishati
ashitum ichhati iti.
Asitum Ichhati Iti.
Yeah, so that is how we get the word. What is the word? Ashishishati. What is this ashishishati? The one who desired to, the one who desires to eat. The one who desires to eat is called ashishishati. That is how the Purusha gets this. 1 minute, I just lost this thing again. One second, let's see here. Ashishishati. Yeah, so very, very interesting. So now the one second, let me go back to this place. The Bhashya got disturbed. I pressed some scroll and now I don't have it here. 1 second. What page is that? Please tell me the page.
25.
Okay, that helps a lot. Thank you. Yeah. So, and then the so yeah, 1 minute, here it's all, I'm almost there. Yeah, ashana pipase ashitum ichha. Yeah, ashishishati ashitum ichhati, ashishishati. So then yatra yasmin kale etan nama purusho bhavati kim tat ashishishati. When is this Purusha called Ashishishati? When is this person called Ashishishati? The Purusha is referred to as the one that is desirous of eating. Due to what reason is the person referred to as Ashishishati? Because, it's going to be explained later, what is eaten by the person is kathinam, solid, hard, difficult to digest. And then what leads the thing that is eaten, the food that is eaten, is led by the water that was drunk, making it into an assimilable and pleasant experience. That is what is, that is what is talked about. You see, in rural India, etc., the farmer's staple diet is usually, especially in every place. But then, if you take one state like Maharashtra, if you take, then you go to the rural areas, then they will have some flat bread called bhakri, made of some kind of jawar. What is jawar in English? I don't know, but some kind of a grain, whole grain. And then it will have they will have one green chilli with it, and some salt, and one nice sized onion. This is the midday meal. The dinner they go home and cook, but this is the universal midday meal. And how will they eat this, Imagine just biting into a raw onion, even with the help of the flat bread. It's extremely pungent. And then a nice green chilli, okay? Quite hot. The jalapeno is nothing compared to this, okay? The jalapeno is like a baby in the cradle, all right, compared to some of these chilies that are found in India. India is the land of chilies. So how will they eat this? This is kathinam. This is all hard. But yet everybody eats this because they also bring a lot of water to which makes this whole lunch go down. This is how the lunch goes down. They'll eat 2-3 bhakris with a bite of this raw onion, and then with a bite of this green chili, and some salt also they will have brought, and then they will just spread that salt, and then this is the lunch. And then so this is what they eat. How will it go down? With a lot of water. This is, and then in other places also, if you go, then they'll bring rice, so along with some hot pickle, very 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 hot pickle. If you go to some place like Andhra or Telangana place, where they eat it shouldn't be called pickle, it's more of an atom bomb, okay, in the mouth. So you eat this along with some rice, some kind of avakkai, I suppose, and then you eat this, and then what? And then, before you explode, you drink water. That is how one survives. So in rural India, this is what is the staple diet. They eat every day, no problem at all. you know and this is how it is, not just in India, in other places also. One person I know went to the excuse me, Peace Corps, went to work at the Peace Corps. There, one of the jobs she had to do was to look after one baby who was not too well. So that baby was at the clinic because the mother had to go to work. Mother was again a farmer and had to go to work, so she would drop off this baby at the clinic where this lady was volunteering. And so then some kind of a white food, looked like some porridge or something, the mother brought in a dabba and kept. Please feed this to my child at noon. And then so this lady fed it to the baby, and the baby was just 9 months old, was just enjoying, licking its lips, even though it was sick, going like this happily. And the lady got quite curious. What is in this food? The baby is enjoying it so much. So when the baby had had its full fill, so she just took and tasted this Nigerian baby food, and then she had to run to the bathroom because her whole face turned purple. It was that hot, and for the baby it was not hot at all. So it's all relative, okay. And so anyhow, back to Ashana. And so this is how does it nourish the person? Because then because they, with the help of lot of water, because the water converts the solid food into liquid, and then what happens? And then the food easily gets digested. Okay, so this looks like a good place to stop. So we will stop here. Whether or not it's a good place, the time is up. Okay, yeah, so we'll stop here and then continue next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.